Hey Megan,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
You excited to talk about your journey?
sure.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Thanks. It's been a wild week, but today's been surprisingly calm, so I'm feeling good.
Oh, that's always good to hear.
Are your kids feeling better?
Yes, thank goodness they're feeling better. Um, my oldest is asleep, thank goodness. So we should be able to get through this call without an issue. And the little one is having a little bit of screen time for a second while we do this.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And for the people who are going to be watching this replay and do not know you yet, would you like to give a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Megan Fleming. I started my bookkeeping business in January of 2020. Over that time, I have not niched. I still work with lots of different industries. I did not have bookkeeping background. I taught elementary school for 12 years before this. Um, yeah, it's been a wild and fun ride. Every day is a new day with lots of new opportunities. And yeah, I have built a team. I probably started building my team 18 months in. And so we've grown to a team of 8 now, I think. And it's just every day's been really, really fun. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
So I know you went through the bookkeeper launch program. That's how we met in the first place. Um, so how long after you completed the program do you think you got your first client, or at least started marketing to find clients? Did you wait until you were finished the course, or did you start marketing and everything during the course?
So I started the course, I believe, May of 2019, and I was still finishing up teaching. And then I was coming home to homeschool my kids. So the summer, I was just trying to get through the course. And then when I
Mhm.
finished, I felt a little shaky, which is normal. I've met a lot of people that feel that way. They're like, okay, I finished it, but what now? How do I apply this, especially if I don't have a client? So I
Mhm.
ended up working for a good friend of mine that had told me to do the course in the first place. And so I started working for her in August and probably around November realized, I think I want to do this myself. Like I kind of need to be the boss. She
Mhm.
was wonderful, great practice. I worked for her for about a year. So there was some overlap, but I probably started marketing for my first client, building a website, talking to people probably November, and
Okay.
then signed that first client in January of
Oh, that
2020.
wasn't too long of a gap at all.
So it was luckily a friend from church. His mom needed a bookkeeper. And so word of mouth, just don't ever discount telling people that you know,
Mhm.
hey, I'm taking new clients. So yeah, it was fun. She was a great first client and she still works with us today. So that's been really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always great when like the people that start with you from the beginning like stick with you throughout the journey. That's always great.
Absolutely. It's really neat to see people go through their journeys year after year, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you didn't really do bookkeeping before starting the course. I know that's one of the biggest issues people have. You were a teacher, that's a big jump. So
Mhm.
so what made you take the leap in the first place?
So I, for a couple different reasons, knew that teaching wasn't going to be my forever. Um,
Hmm.
I really wanted homeschool my kids, and this was pre-COVID, so this was just a desire my husband and I had separate. It kind
Yeah.
of panned out in a great time, but so we kind of already wanted to do that. But cutting a whole salary and that is hard. So we
Mhm.
needed something else to kind of help fill in the gaps. So that was the motivation to do something different, but specifically bookkeeping. I had kind of looked at doing some online teaching just because I had that experience. It just didn't pan out in terms of tools and technology and that sort of thing. It wasn't anything I did wrong.
Mhm.
So I started exploring other things. And my friend that I eventually worked for, she suggested it to me. I saw the price tag and said, oh, thanks, but no thanks. And then when the teaching online was not panning out like I thought, I kind of went back to the drawing board and she said, I really think you'd be good at this. I am really left brains. So that does help to be
Mhm.
numbers minded. But So that's kind of what ended up bringing me to bookkeeping, even though I had no experience before.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's good to know that you were able to take that leap and still have like great success with it. And especially, I know we talk about like niching down a lot. I know in the course, Ben is always talking about is what the riches and the niches, and you're doing great even without it. So
thanks. Yeah, I can totally. I am one of those. I didn't niche, but I can also respect that what he's saying is very accurate. It does make marketing, it does make processes a lot easier. To me, I was a little, and I think COVID showed this to us. Sometimes different industries can unpredictably become unreliable. And so my concern was always not putting all of my eggs in one basket, because you just never know what's going to go up and what's going to go down. So that's more of my concern. But yes, I absolutely recognize that his concerns are really legit.
Okay. And that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious. I think we talked about it before. Like, you thought about niching down and just chose against it? Is it something that you think you would do later down the line? Like, what are your thoughts on it overall?
I thought about it, and because I probably have a good third to half of my clients in the marketing field. So I've considered it, but there's a lot of work to going from we can work with all people to I'm going to do this in terms of your marketing and redoing your website and how you're reaching people and all those sorts of things. And some other opportunities kind of came my way around the same time. And I kind of had to go, do we like where we're at? And do I like not niching down? Yeah, I do. And the other opportunities with like course development and mentoring and that sort of thing kind of came along. And I love those things as well. My teacher background kind of just a little excited at moments when I get to talk about and think about those things. So it was kind of a twofold decision of we like where we're at. If it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing. Some other opportunities in choosing, do we want to really pump out a niche right now and marketing and all of the efforts there, or do we want to consider maybe there's another arm to the business? And I chose the other arm because that's what matters to me. But there is a lot of great things in being able to niche down, and then your processes and the vendors and all of the things that you're doing with those clients, it can be a lot more seamless in how you train your team. So I recognize the give and take, but it's still well for us.
Especially like I know like your courses and your consulting, because I can tell like just when you brought it up, your whole face just lit up. So, so it's obvious you made the right choice.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I think a lot of people think that if you niche, like then you just know that industry so well, and you do. But what I've found from working with various industries is sometimes there are things you learn in one industry that can actually apply in others, and how you problem solve and how you figure out challenges. And so what one industry might not use as a payment processor, but it has these kinds of functionalities and tools and how you work with it, doesn't when a challenge comes up over here with this processor. And I think it gives you a ability to problem solve. I think it.
Yeah, and that does make sense, because I know like in different industries there are still some types of overlap and things you can take into the next client that you learned from your previous clients. So yeah. Speaking of clients, you have 28.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Like, oh my gosh. So I know it'll be too much to run down how you got every single one. So maybe like let's say your top 5.
My top 5 ways of taking on clients.
Yeah, like what types of marketing, like how did you attract them and get them in the first place?
So my number one preference to other people would be find referral partners, whether they're CPAs, whether they are business coaches, whether they are, I'm trying to think who some of my other ones are, online business managers. I have a couple referral partners. One, we have a very specific, organized agreement of how we will be affiliate partners. And then just send people their way as we can just kindly help them out. That's generated a lot of business for us. I do offer incentives to my clients to share with your friends. I word it this way: love working with you, so obviously we would love working with your friends if you have people to work with. And then we do provide incentives. I often give a month free service, and a lot of people gasp at that. But if you think about it, the return on your investment there, 1 month of recurring revenue to potentially take on a cleanup job or 12 months of revenue with a new client, hands down, it works well. And then, so referral partners, referrals from clients, QuickBooks Pro Advisor listing. Now that works better when you don't have a niche. If you have a niche, then sometimes that can be challenging. It's kind of catching the broad span of people in your area. But I did work on optimizing my profile and kind of getting that to where I'm listed #1 when you type in my area. And so that has helped significantly. Beyond that, I'm active in Facebook groups offering support and answers without too much of a salesy push so that people know you're a trusted source and that you're there, but that you're not being too pushy. So those are probably my 3 main ways that I get.
Okay. And that's good to know. Like, I'm glad you mentioned the referrals, because I know that I'm sorry. There you go. I know that comes up a lot, like especially like in the Facebook groups, whether or not you should offer an incentive or not, or if it's just, like the honor system, I guess. So would you mind, because I'm sure it might be different for every referral partner you have, but would you mind giving like some examples of how you structure it?
Sure. So the one referral partner that I have that's like a business setup, organizational type coach, she and I have an officially written, I don't know if it's written and we signed it, but we put together a specific one where so she sends me a partner or a referral, then I pay her 20% of the first invoice. Again, and I know people's eyeballs get so big when I tell them that, but I'm like, you just have to consider the long-term return on investment with that. It's a small chunk of change comparatively to what you make off of having that client. And two, they're like a pre-qualified lead. It's somebody that they know and trust already. So you're not trying to figure out if they're even going to show up to your meeting, right? So we do 20% there. With the people that I have informal or no agreements in place, I usually just send them a gift, maybe $50, $100 type value, significant enough that it shows real gratitude, but not so much that it's like, need you the first month or half the cleanup job. Like that's a little excessive. Like we're trying to share referrals, not be partners in business, if that makes sense. So I think that you just have to consider what helps people feel valued and that you do appreciate what they've sent you, but within reason of what you can afford within your business.
Okay. Perfect. And that's a perfect answer. And the reason I asked is I know that people ask about it pretty often. And I recently had someone ask me about it, and I was like struggling going back and forth with how to structure it. So you even gave me some ideas.
Well, I know, some people have very officially set up affiliate programs. And man, in my spare time, wouldn't I just love that? But in the meantime, as long as it's getting done and you are acknowledging that and being able to show gratitude that way, I think that's what helps people realize, oh, wow, she did appreciate that. Like she will appreciate things going forward. And sometimes it feels bad when you can't reciprocate and send things back to them. So then giving that little gift that you send them on signing it makes a bigger statement, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, so I know you said that was like the top way that you get your clients. Out of your 28, how many would you say came from referrals?
I'm gonna look at my wall of clients that you can't see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sorry, it's just taking me a minute. Let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 of them. So probably about half. Probably
Wow.
about half of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Goodness gracious.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful. And so what I think people need to hear though, because I feel like the common misconception in the beginning is like, turn the marketing wheels and you'll get clients tomorrow. Like if
Mhm.
referrals and connecting with people online is how you're spending a lot of your time or efforts marketing, that's going to take time. It either takes time for people to get to know you and trust you, or it takes time for your marketing efforts to kind of permeate where you're at.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm giving advice in your area of expertise, so I don't need to do that. Just in my experience,
Oh.
it's very much like it takes time to get to know people. And so once you do know people, then the wheels start turning and things
Mhm.
start happening. But until people know you and can develop that trust for you, it can be a little challenging in the beginning. So just don't give up would be my advice there. So
Yeah. And I agree with you completely. Like we're here to get your marketing like advice and, experience. So don't
absolutely.
feel like don't hesitate to give your ideas. Um, but yeah, I totally agree. It's just pretty much like a snowball effect. Like you just want to start off really, really, really slow, honestly.
Mhm.
And then once you get it rolling, it's going to keep rolling. So it
Absolutely.
definitely takes time.
Mhm.
Um, Trying to think. That's what it was. Another thing you mentioned was your pro advisor listing. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know too much about that and how to
That's
optimize that. So I'll let you take it from here. Like, how did you do that?
okay. There is a great gal that's in Bookkeeper Launch Group, and she also started her own group called Bookkeeper Side Hustle. Her name's
Mm-hmm.
Kate. Um, I've never met her in person, but everything she's put online, she's real sweet, helpful, wonderful. She often interviews people and has a lot of YouTube content just to help people get bookkeeping businesses off the ground and support them in getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she has more of an approach of like, it's okay if we're not all cookie cutter and doing it the same, but like, let's find common ground where we can help be supportive and strong. So one
Mm-hmm.
of the things she did was she interviewed this guy, Bill Von Fumetti. I think he has his own course, but the whole point is he did an interview with her about how to optimize your QuickBooks Pro Advisor listing. So a couple of things that really stuck out to me was one, you have to consider it's done by your zip code, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I live in a very rural part of the US. So my zip code of where I physically live attracts very few businesses. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was getting all the people in my small little area. But the problem was I wasn't even getting in touch with bigger areas. So one of the things that I did was I got a PO box in a more local place near a city.
Mm-hmm.
That suddenly puts you in the pool of a much bigger area of businesses. So that's one piece. Second piece is your certifications matter. So QuickBooks Advanced certification is significant bonus points on the algorithm. So I made sure to get that taken care of. Um, it was an endeavor to do the first certification. Research has not been so bad. So that was major bonus points. And then getting client reviews was huge. Um, and I mean, you can ask people who have just done a cleanup job with you or whatever. As long as you've done bookkeeping something for them, you can ask them. So that's something that's also part of our, I guess it's marketing strategy is once we finish a cleanup job or we worked with somebody for 2 to 3 months so they have something to say,
Yeah.
I have enough experience to say something. Um, we have something in our system like we need to send out an email and ask them for a review, provide the links so they can go. So those three things make a big deal when you are optimizing your QuickBooks Pro Advisor listing. I
Mm-hmm.
spent $160 getting a PO box in like the next zip code over. And that has made, I mean, I made that back within the first month from getting just a handful
Wow.
of calls and 2 or 3 clients signing. So $160 for a PO box once a year has made a huge difference.
Absolutely. That's a great return on investment right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just those things. And I think you can find their interview on YouTube. Like you can go watch it and he'll walk you through all the different things that you can do. And he gives suggestions of like, if you're struggling for review ideas, like, you can think about these things. So I can't remember all the details, but it really did help me think through it. And now that I have asked and asked and asked for reviews, I have my certification, I have my PO box in a good location. I mean, I pop up all the time when you type in Louisville, Kentucky's zip code, like #1 on the list. And not because I'm the best bookkeeper there ever was, just because I've optimized my profile. The algorithm has been explained.
Oh, that is wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you for explaining that. So I guess it's kind of similar to like your Google profile as far as like it's local, it's based on reviews. So it's pretty similar to that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So when we ask for reviews, we include both our my Pro Advisor page, and we also include our Google My Business listing so that they'll leave reviews in both places. And I even tell people, I'm like, look, you can write it one place, copy and paste it in the other. We just appreciate the reviews. It's very unlikely someone's going to read the Pro Advisor and read Google My Business because they're totally different places to go. And even if they read that the client wrote the same thing, like I have no shame in that. That is okay. That was their experience. So, but if you just send them both links when you ask for a review, that just makes it easy for them to click and go. And saying copy this is fine makes it such an easier request that they're more motivated to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess one follow-up question for that. Do you give like your clients like questions? Like, do you kind of guide them through how to leave a good review, or you just leave them to it? Like, do you ask specific questions?
I don't, but I think there's pros and cons to that. I think that since they're having to leave the review themselves, sometimes it takes 2 and 3 proddings to get them to go list it. So to give them too many extra things to do with their review, I worry about that. Like if I give them too many things to answer or say, one, will they actually do it? Because now they're like, whoa, too much pressure. But two, I really want them to sound honest. And I think sometimes when I ask them questions, they're like trying to answer all my questions. And so it's going to sound a certain way. Whereas I just really want them to speak from the heart. And people give such a variety of answers. Some people are like really timely, really good at communicating. And that's great because some people need to see, oh man, my last person didn't talk to me ever. This person's really good at communicating. Bingo. That's what I want. But people do read those because I've had prospects and consultations where they say, I read your reviews and the person that said blah, 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 I just went, ooh, yeah, that's my person. So sometimes I think it's great to be really opened up and broad because people will write a variety of things and then you never know who's going to identify with that when they read.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So
I think I always worry about somebody just saying like just like some simple one word review or just simple saying, great job, thanks. And okay, thanks.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yes. Now, if I were asking to kind of follow up with that, if I were asking for reviews to go and put on my website, I would absolutely ask questions and piece together what I wanted because I am in control of that. Because these other places are not, Google My Business, I have a little more control over that. But still, there's a format and there's a way that it's also you kind of have to, people can put in. And then as well as QuickBooks Pro Advisor. But if I was just going to like take from, extract that and put it somewhere, I would absolutely ask questions. I think you just have to consider your purpose.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. So I went over your referral partners and how that got you like half of your clients.
Yeah.
Optimizing your Pro Advisor listing. I actually learned a lot from that, so thank you. So those are like all like big successes. What would you say was the biggest challenge that you had, like when it came to getting your clients?
Oh, the biggest challenge, and I think this is common for people, so I'm just going to share it like it is. People give pushback about being too pricey. People give that is my biggest response from people. It's not usually, oh, I don't like your personality, or, oh, I just don't want to work with you. It's usually, oh, that's more than I thought, or I could get it done cheaper from this person over here.
Mhm.
And I'll give you 2 or 3 examples of that. So, one, sometimes people say, it's just too expensive, or I can't afford it. That's fine. Like, you kind of do have to respect that people do have a budget. I mean, if you're a bookkeeper, you understand people need to have a budget. So as much as it stinks to hear that, it is what it is.
Mhm.
Sometimes people are like, you're more expensive than this other person, so I'm going to do this. I had a client like that. She told me January of last year I was too expensive, or she could find somebody else to do it cheaper, and she was going to try to, watch her budget, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Let me know if you need anything in the future. She came back in the fall, asked me for some consultation time. I pretty much told her, I'm not going to charge you for this. It's really better if you ask your tax person. And then it kind of came out, and I'm not happy with my bookkeeping. So we go from there. She decides to come back. What's the price going to be? Well, the same amount of work is the same price that I quoted you in January. She goes, okay, well, that's higher than I'm paying now, but I guess you get what you pay for. She
Mhm.
added on every other service that I offer. Like, we do everything. So, don't get scared of people going, oh, I'm going to go this other way. They may come back. I've also had people going, well, I'm shopping around and I think you're more expensive. So let me think about it. And they still came back a week later and said, I really just drive to the best with you. Let's do it. So just stand firm in your pricing. If you know it's good and you've really worked through it, not just if you've guessed and thrown it at the wall, but if you have the right pricing, stand by it, keep going. You just got to meet the right people. And then the people start talking about how your work is so good and other people should work with you, and it will slowly get going, but it just takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned, well, first thing, I want to say you're good, because I know a lot. You're good. The fact that she decided to price shop in January and then came back in the fall and the price was the same. I know there's some people that were like, you know what, double the price.
Yeah, I know there are people out there that do that, and I'm kind of one of those. To me, that feels like, I'm not saying anything about people who do. They are totally welcome to run their business how they want. I respect them. There are a lot of great bookkeepers out there that'll do that. Wonderful. But to me, that would be an emotional pricing rather than an objective way of pricing them. If this is the work and this is my pricing, then this is what it ought to be. So that's just what I stand on. Again, if other people want to do things differently, that's fine.
Yep, no judgment here.
No.
Awesome. So as far as like pricing sensitivity goes with like prospects and leads, is there anything that you do with your marketing to kind of avoid having that conversation in the first place?
I have gone round and round in my brain talking to my husband and some other people about, do I want to put starting at prices on my website? Do I want to ask their budget and all that sort of thing? And I think what I've just ended up deciding to do is I just kind of leave that to the side with the person. One of my very standard things. I have a standard setup fee if you've never been in QuickBooks Online before. I do have standard fees for like setting up payroll. Beyond that, I'm still pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm blanking on this word. I do really like client specific pricing. I'm not just like for this, one package for that. Yes, life would be easier, but when you niche, it's easier to do that. I've thrown that around. I've thrown at starting at this price. And I've just decided, I just have the conversation with people, because sometimes people will think they want to pay one thing, but once you show them the value and it's a little more, they're still very likely to go with you. And I would hate to shoot myself in the foot, so to speak, or kill that opportunity because they looked at the price and went, and didn't come in with an open mind. So I've kind of left it out of it. But I know there's a lot of great people out there keep it in mind and they run with it and roll with it, and it works really great. So I think it has to be a personal decision.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it just kind of just depends on your personality. Like you're a very personable person. You just talk to anybody and you seem like 100% comfortable and you don't have any issues. So so I do see how that strategy will work for you, and I'm glad that it does. I wish I was like that, but I I don't think I don't think I have it in me. So I'm just like, hey, this is what it is. Like you get what you get, and that's how I operate. But I'm glad that works for you.
And I think if I had more standard offerings that people who came through my door got the exact same thing, but working with so many different industries, what people need in e-commerce is so different than what people who need just online service-based businesses. They just need totally different things. And it's really hard to say, well, you're in package B and half of package B doesn't apply to them. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I think that's partly because I don't niche.
Yeah.
But if I did niche and I had one specific industry, I think I probably would build more package type things with some flexibility, of course. So I think you have to kind of consider your position and what you're comfortable with as well. But something that popped into my head in the whole pricing and packaging thing, if people ever come back to you and are trying to just really drive your price down and almost manipulate the price, that has always backfired in my face. I'll just leave that nugget out there. So if people are just not seeing your value or trying to just, it's one thing to say, like, it's really hard for them of some sort of somebody, but people who are questioning your price, that has always, we'll just leave it at, it's always backfired for me.
Yeah, that's a big red flag right there.
Yes. Yes. So just put that out there.
Okay. So I'm learning a lot from you so far. Like I feel like we talk all of the time and I always learn something new.
I'm so glad I could do that.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So what would you say were like 3 lessons that you learned from getting your clients, like as far as marketing goes? Like we talked about how you got them and like the results you got. So what did you learn from those experiences that you would like to share with other bookkeepers just getting started?
During the consultation process or just the marketing piece?
Well, kind of goes hand in hand. So let's do a little bit of both.
Okay, so have a process that you want to follow. So, say you have a referral partner, have a process that you're going to follow when you get a referral or a lead from a referral partner, and document that. The whole like reach back out, say thank you, send a gift, make sure that's in your process. Because while they may not be depending on your gift, that reminds them and keeps you in the forefront of their mind. Heck, if you pick something that they're going to put in their office and see on a regular basis, that's going to bring you to mind even more. I would say 2, be very clear about who you do and do not want to work with. So whether that's you presenting yourself in a Facebook group, or that is you defining a relationship with a referral partner, or even developing your QuickBooks Pro Advisor page. Like I can click different industries that I work with and sort of thing. All of those things, be really clear about who you do and do not want to work with. I do not do taxes. I am very clear with people that I am not a tax accountant. I am not a CPA. I don't file taxes. You can ask me questions about being ready for tax time, but I'm not going to file your taxes. And that sounds really silly, like duh, but people need to know that, because otherwise you're going to attract potentially the wrong people, but then you're also going to potentially waste a lot of time talking to people that aren't good fits to begin with. So I think no matter what, maybe this isn't 3 tips, but I think it's a 3-fold tip, whether it's referral partners, whether it's your marketing through your website or Facebook groups, whatever it may be, make sure you're really clear about who should work with you and who should not work with you. an example of a website kind of being clear, if you are working with a specific niche, obviously put that in the title or the uh, web address of your website. But even still, within that, even though I don't niche to a specific industry, on my intake form on my website, it asks what software they're in or what bookkeeping software they use. I am only in QuickBooks Online. I don't use Xero. I don't use Sage. I don't use anything. That's fine. But I can very quickly, when I see a lead come through, determine whether or not I even need to bother meeting with them. Because if they're not interested in moving, I'm not really interested in working with them because we're just not a good fit. But then I can find somebody else for them. Or QuickBooks Desktop. That's even another one that I get a lot. Just being very clear in your presence of who you're going to work with or who you're not going to work with. I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay. And that makes total sense.
Yeah, it can save you a lot of time and get you a lot better leads too.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow-up question for mentioning that you don't do taxes. I saw it in a group the other day, so like this is a good time to ask. Sorry, losing my train of thought. So how do you, like, I guess not, well, in a sense, compete with bookkeepers who do offer taxes? Because I know, like, a lot of people look for that all-in-one solution. Oh, I want a bookkeeper that does my taxes too. So how do you position yourself when it comes to that?
Sure. And I'm sorry, I'm plugging my computer in as we're talking. So I think a lot of people can get really easily intimidated by this. People go, saying, oh, well, do you do taxes too? And I think, first of all, you have to consider how you respond to that. So number one, no, I don't. Sorry. That basically just says, no, we can't work together. Like that's how that conversation ends. But instead saying, I don't, but I have lots of great referral partners, or I have some partners. And what I love about being a bookkeeper tax partnership is you get more sets of eyes on your financials. I think it's how you position it. And just reminding them that you do have options for them. It's not just a no, I don't, sorry, bye. It can be a no, I don't, but here I have these great people that I know and trust. And then as well, and you'll get a bunch more set of eyes on your financials. A lot of people do get tripped up in the whole, I know I've heard it said the other day, I think it's the same post you're referring to, the recession's coming, they're going to want a 2-in-1. You can't control that if you don't do taxes. It's what it is. So I think it's just how you position yourself when they ask you about it.
And I love how you like made it sound like a benefit instead of like something bad. Like, no, I don't, but I have a lot of referral partners and people that I partner with. So you have an extra set of eyes on your books. That's like, oh, okay, I have 2 people working. Like, that sounds a lot better than just saying no, sorry, and it makes it seem like a downside. You know what I mean? So
right.
So
and then
nice.
Yeah. And if people push that, I have unfortunately seen a lot of cases where the tax person was doing the bookkeeping, and it wasn't done well. Like it was just either it wasn't up to date or there were just things wrong. And, they just weren't getting great service. Like it's that whole analogy of doctor nurse. And I kind of share that with people sometimes of like a doctor is going to come in and oversee and make sure like check taxes are getting filed, check they've been done, as accurately as we can control. But a nurse is coming in 20 times a day, making sure you take your medicine, you eat your food, you get up and move around, do you have clean clothes, all those things. The bookkeeper is looking at that. Are all the revenues recorded? Are all the expenses recorded? Did we miss anything? Did we make errors? How detailed do we need this to be? Are we reviewing it? And so it's 2 different roles. Helping people understand that. I think the education piece is just it's important there.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that doctor nurse analogy. I think I've heard it I've heard it a few times before, and it's great. That's the easiest way to explain that to someone, I think.
Yeah, it's just different roles. Nobody's more important than the other, and no one wants to discount the other services. It's just if you're in the doctor role, it's hard for you to perform those nurse kinds of duties. So bookkeeping as a tax preparer, you have really hard and fast deadlines for taxes that you can't avoid, or you won't be a tax preparer anymore. And so if something has to get pushed off, are you going to push off the taxes or the bookkeeping? Well, probably the bookkeeping, and no one's faulting them for that. I think that's just the balance sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I have to remember to take a note of that and put that in the notes. Okay, so a couple more questions for you. So I know we talked about your website. Like I know you don't have the pricing on your website, so you don't like turn people down or shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to that. So how would you say that your website contributed to your success? If
Yeah. So since I have not generated as much business from people typing in, bookkeeper, I guess I have with bookkeeper near me because of my Google My Business listing, but just from, SEO and that sort of stuff, I probably haven't derived as much success from that. Sorry, I lost the question. I'm having a hard day.
Oh no, you're totally fine. How would you say that your website contributed to your success?
Okay, I am so sorry. I think I've achieved two goals for me. So number one, it's established me as a legitimate business out there in the virtual world. Legitimate businesses have websites. Legitimate businesses have Google My Business listings with people having reviews that are connected to a website. I think it's established as a legit person with a business. It also provides a place for me to have people schedule appointments for new business. So prospects can go and fill out a form, and it's connected with Dubsado and all of those beautiful things. That, it sets up the appointment, it sends you the information, all of those things. It takes care of all of that automation. And I have all the information right at my fingertips when I have the consult. I don't have to ask them a bunch of tedious questions that I used to ask people in consults. And so those two things probably are the majority. And I know probably people will listen and be like, well, that's not the advice I've gotten, and I need to optimize my website. And you totally should. That's what you should do. I'm at the point where my marketing wheels are producing what my firm can handle and at the pace that I want to go. And so are there always ways to make your marketing efforts better? Yes. Could this be my opportunity? Yes. But as my business coach told me, she was like, if you are generating as much opportunity as you want to have, then keep doing what you're doing. So maybe one day we will change and optimize our website more and put more effort into it. It's functioning with its two pieces that I need it to function for right now. But I don't have the very best website in all of management. So.
And that's not a problem. It's really all about what works for you. Like you said earlier, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
That's kind of where I'm at. And there are a lot of other ways that I can improve things with where I'm at. And that's just not at the top of the list right now. Maybe in a year or two it will be, and we'll just go from there. But yes, absolutely.
So when you started your business, did you plan for it to be an empire? Was it just supposed to be a side hustle? What was your plan when you first started versus where you see it going now?
That's a really funny story because, and I ended up getting to tell my story with one of my first couple of clients during 2020. She had this group of women that wrote an anthology together. And so that was my chapter about all of this. So in a nutshell, I thought, oh, I'll do this thing and I'll make some extra money. We knew kind of what area of, revenue we needed to make kind of a buffer income for the kids to play sports, for emergencies to happen, and that sort of thing. And so the first year was, I was kind of taking it slow. I had a handful of clients and it was good. I was getting experience, figuring out what I was doing. We kind of toyed with the idea of my husband joining the business. And then he kind of explored the whole, do I like bookkeeping question? Looked at a few of the lessons in the course just to see, like, do we want to purchase this? Do we want to keep doing this? And he very quickly decided, no, I do not like this. And so we very quickly decided that was not a good fit. There weren't the things that we needed inside of the business were not going to be a good fit. So in the meantime, I had been like cranking out the marketing and really trying to connect more with people and be more present in groups. And, I think what I was doing for SEO efforts was writing blog posts and that sort of thing. And so things just kind of started churning and going. And by the middle of 2021, I hired too late and had way more clients than I could manage on my own. And so it just kind of took off. And I realized at that point in 2021, last summer, that I either have to continue to grow and hire a team because I don't want to spend my entire life working and not ever seeing my kids, or I can just kind of stay stagnant and probably eventually die off a little bit and do my own one-woman show. So I opted for let's keep growing and grow a team. And it's been a really fun ride. I'd never thought that I'd be here when I started out, that's for sure. But it's been really great. We have, I'm counting, sorry, 1, 2. There are 8 girls on the team. We have a virtual assistant, a manager, and then 6 contractors, and everybody works very part-time. Everybody, I think, is a mom. So nobody really wants to work 40 hours a week, and that works really great. So that's been different, going from doing bookkeeping 100% of the time to doing maybe 5 to 10% bookkeeping just to support the team as needed and mostly managing people and clients.
That sounds like a dream.
If you like managing people and you enjoy that piece, it absolutely is. He's like, I do not want to manage people. And that is okay. Like, there are a lot of personalities out there going, I want to be a one-person show. And there's great ways to optimize how you do things to make that happen. But hiring is a great thing too, if you like managing and working with other people.
Absolutely. And it's great that you hired like all moms. Like, another thing that I did not know. Like, that is so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I interviewed the people, and the qualified ones are the ones that we hire. And
Oh, that is wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yes.
So, final question of our interview. If there is one thing that people can take from watching this, specifically bookkeeping moms,
Yes.
what one piece of advice would you share? Like, what is like the one takeaway that you want everyone to like really pay attention to and know after they watch this?
Oh, that is hard. One nugget.
Just one.
Over my almost 3 years.
Okay, to narrow it down, let's keep it marketing related. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah. Pick your focus and stick to it. So choose what you're going to do and stick with it, because I'm no marketing expert. Things are going well for us and I'm grateful, but I think the biggest thing is people start churning and the wheels and turning them and going, okay, we're getting my marketing plan or direction going, and they don't see results in 2 to 3 weeks and they quit because they're gone. It didn't work. Pick what you're going to do, stick with it for 3 and 4, maybe 6 months. Evaluate as you go. Obviously, if something's just totally burning down over here, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But just keep being consistent in doing what you're doing, because otherwise you're never going to really know if it's effective or not. And if it is, it's going to take time for it to come to fruition. So
that's great advice.
one thing.
Thank you, Megan. That is wonderful advice. And I completely agree. Like we said earlier, it's a snowball effect when it comes to marketing. So if you give up too soon, like you don't know, like you could have been like a day away or one post away from finding like a lead or a client. So definitely sticking with it and being consistent is super, super important. So thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome.
So, so I'm going to let you go ahead and talk a little bit about how you help people, well, other bookkeepers specifically, with some of these things that we mentioned. I know you mentioned like processes and getting set up with your marketing. If somebody wanted to like get in touch with you about that, um, what ways would you help, and what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Oh, if people want help in getting things moving.
Yes.
So I offer two different types of support. One is I do some one-on-one mentoring with people. And I really do enjoy that, but it needs to be the right fit of what they want to do. Somebody wants tax support. Obviously, I'm not your girl. I don't do taxes. But if you're just going, okay, I'm struggling going from most times it's people earlier on in their processes going, how do I onboard and how do I get this client going? Am I doing the right things? Or I have this problem in the books with this client and I'm not sure if I'm reviewing it right or looking at it right. So I work with people on a variety of things, and it's usually sessions based on what they need. I don't necessarily have this specific, like we have to do 10 sessions. We're going to from here to here. A lot of people don't need 10 steps. So I'm a little more open with that. So I do those. If people are specifically kind of in that, okay, I'm ready to grow and scale, and maybe I'm ready to hire a team, a better fit would probably be the digital course that I created. It walks through goal setting, really reflecting on your marketing and if it's effective, looking at processes. Do you have, because there's some pretty basic processes for bookkeeping, onboarding new clients, monthly work, onboarding team members, offboarding clients. There's some pretty common ones that you'll use, making sure you have those in place, and then working towards, okay, I really want to hire somebody because I need some more bandwidth, whether it's my time or taking on more clients or both. Really working through, okay, who is that? How do I get organized? How do I do the hiring? What do I do now? So I have a digital course out there called the Bookkeeper Scaling Bootcamp. And it's actually course 1 that I released. Because I've had some mentoring and comments in different groups that I'm in about quality control. We're in the process of developing Bookkeeper Scaling Bootcamp Level 2 quality control. But this course is kind of unique in the sense of it doesn't have to come second. Quality control is important for bookkeepers, whether you're a one-woman, one-man show or you are managing a team, because everybody's work needs to be reviewed, whether it's your own or a team member's. So that's coming out at the end of this month, towards the beginning of next month. And that will help you walk from I finished the monthly workflow to I know that it looks good, or I've identified the things that I need to fix. This isn't necessarily a cleanup course, but identifying this is not right. This needs to be fixed. And being able to review and report all of that. But then another thing that kind of grew out of our first course was a paid mastermind group that is for students of the course. And so there's lots of different ways. That probably was more than people thought they were bargaining for, but there's lots of ways to work with me if you're just, wanting to get connected and that sort of thing. The best way to probably get in touch with me is probably just my email address, megan@cardinalfinancialsolutions.com.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Megan. You're just doing a million things. Oh, wow.
I have a team of 8 people to help me with the bookkeeping, so I can do those things. It's about building a team, and if you do that and do it right, it does eventually, I'll say that very, very key, eventually allow you more space and time.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Megan. This was so much fun, and I
Yes.
hope that everyone watching the replay later today gets a lot of value from this.
Yeah. Great. I hope so too.
Yeah. So thank you again for your time. I'm
You're
going to go
welcome.
ahead and let you go, and I look forward to sharing this replay with you.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Say bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, talk soon.
Okay. Sounds good.